All right, what's going on, everybody? So I want to quickly talk about the crazy stuff that's going on in Qatar with the FIFA World Cup. Now, often I will talk about, events and things that are happening around the world in sometimes a seemingly random fashion, but it all ties with understanding the times and this battle that we are living in with good versus evil, and how we as a body of Christ need to be aware of the devices of Satan so that we can properly go against it or respond and approach people in this area. Now, if you haven't heard, the first couple of games started a few days ago, and it's just in an awkward season right now because it's in the winter. Normally it's in the summer, but that's because it's in Qatar where it's super hot. And personally, I am a fan of football. I watch it from time to time. I'm not against it. I believe in heaven we will have sports, we will have fun, we will have a lot of things just like that. But just like with anything that you can pervert, there's a lot of things that people take and you twist it to your own agenda. And so that is what a lot of things are in accusation happening with FIFA, with the country of Qatar. And I'm not here to defend Qatar. I'm not here to defend FIFA. I'm not here to say, oh, they're good and they're doing great things. I'm not saying those things, but I will make a couple of points later. But what's happening right now is that in Qatar, homosexuality is illegal, and being found guilty of same-sex relations can result in lengthy prison sentences. And under the Sharia law, it is also possible that men could face the death penalty if they are found to have engaged in same-sex intimacy. And because FIFA and the joint kind of venture that's happening right now, they also have to abide by certain country laws. And for a while, FIFA was allowing a lot of the movements that have been going on in the football game. So one being the movement of diversity and inclusion, which combines major components of, if not all of the components of the LGBTQ plus movement, which is typically shown with the rainbow colors, which is associated to the pride flag. And so basically what's happening is this One Love armband was thought to have been allowed, but then now it's being at the last minute rejected. And FIFA is saying, hey, we're going to impose sporting sanctions, and most notably yellow cards will be given on the field of play if you wear these things. And so a lot of countries, with a joint statement from the Football Association that was released with England, Wales, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, and Switzerland, all confirming that their teams will not be wearing this One Love armband as they had planned to do in the Qatar games, and specifically with the captains. And so then you got a lot of people that are trying to protest against that, but a lot of the teams have just gone ahead and not worn it, and they're fine. They're playing their games and doing all the things that they've got to do. And so I want to make a couple of points, because a lot of people are bashing Qatar, a lot of people are bashing FIFA, a lot of people are supporting and doing these things. But what you have to realize, right? And I'm not here to bash LGBTQ people. Again, my stance, and which is what every Christian probably should be saying, is that you love the people. You love who they are. You're not going to reject them from coming into their house. Jesus never rejected the sinners. He ate with tax collectors. He ate with sinners and rich people and all these different guys that had been rejects of society. So Jesus himself, he never rejected these people, but he had a clear stance on what sin is and what sin isn't. And with homosexuality, with all of these same-sex things, God created man a man and a woman, all these transgender stuff, all these things is a sin. And so nobody's here combining LGBTQ plus with hating people, excluding people, and just excommunicating these guys. No, Jesus didn't do those things. But what's clear that most people in society right now don't understand is the stance and the perspective and the position from where God is coming from, which is it a sin issue or is it not a sin issue? What's pleasing to God and what is not pleasing to God? And what's happening in society right now is a lot of people, they're blurring this line, thinking that, in order to be inclusive and to be diverse and to be loving and all these different things, you have to include all the people and what they're feeling and their thoughts are. No, often what people are thinking, what people desire is of their own flesh, of their own thinking, of their own desires, and their own heart lusting after these things. And they're combining that and justifying it as being, oh no, that's good, it's righteous, it's moral, it's not immoral, these things, right? But people, they don't have a distinction of what is offensive to God versus what is offensive to people. A lot of people are combining, this is offensive to people. Like, why would you exclude these laws from and the rights of these people and their homosexuality and things like that with what is offensive to God? But there's a clear distinction. So a lot of people, they don't understand that. And you have to really be clear about that. And most Christians, if you really come before the Lord, if you really humble yourself and you listen to these words, you would have the same view. You would look at it and be like, yeah, he's right. God did create a man and a man, and a woman, and He wants people to have matrimony between man and woman, and not between man and woman with woman, right? And again, to be clear, we're not hating on these people that struggle with this sin, right? We're not here to say, never come into my house, don't talk to me. We want to love them, we want to include them, but you have to be very distinct about the position that God has. So the problem we have with society right now is that a lot of people have different definitions and they have different viewpoints of things that sound good, but really there's a different meaning behind it. So for example, diversity and inclusion, it sounds good, right? It sounds moral, but it's starting with something that is possibly holy if you take it and define it in a way for which it is biblical. But then you're skewing things and you're blurring the line and you're bringing other things in there to make it sound good, and you're packaging all that together. And then people get confused because they're taking what sounds good, like racial issues, human rights and gender rights and many other issues, and then you're lumping in together things like the LGBTQ+, for which, as I mentioned, are things that are mixing in and blurring what is offensive to God versus what is offensive to people. And that is not the same thing. And so this is the issue we're having with everybody having different definitions, everybody having different agendas and motives. And it's becoming this melting pot of just this movement for which everybody now has to kind of back it, or else, it's not good for you, right? And so that's why you have a lot of Christians that are confused about what is right and what is wrong, because they're being skewed by the ways and the direction of the world. And so that brings me to this point of what's happening in Qatar. Qatar has laws where homosexuality is illegal, and the fear of that has permeated through the country. Now, that country is not majority Christian by any means. There's a lot of Islam, there's a lot of different things, but boy, are they very stern about certain sins. Boy, do they have a foot down on certain things for which if you cross it, it is criminal activity. Now, I'm not here to say that, we should set up laws for which we can, sentence people to death and do all these things because of these actions. But at one point, God did also have that. Let me just bring that up as a quick side note. God in the Old Testament had laws, had punishments for wickedness of these sorts of actions, same-sex relations, for which you could be put to death according to Mosaic law. And I'm not here to say that we should be doing those things. What I'm saying is that a country like Qatar, who has a top-down structure that can influence the people around them, such to the degree that they wouldn't do that. I don't want to say in fear, but they know how to act and how not to act. They're being trained up in the way of the laws and the standards. How much more can a nation such as America, England, or any of these other countries, Belgium, Denmark, Wales, Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, how much more if you set up certain laws for which you said, hey, this is not right, this is not moral, this is immoral. According to the standards of the Bible, according to the standards in the eyes of God, what is pleasing to Him and what isn't pleasing to Him, we need to set up certain lines, right? And how easy was it that if with the threat of a yellow card, just a yellow card, on the field, these guys took a step back and said, okay, fine. Yeah, we're not gonna wear these bands. We're not gonna promote this agenda. And a lot of people, quite frankly, guys, I'm a fan of Harry Kane and many of these other guys because they're great soccer players. They probably don't know exactly what they're, rooting for and what they're standing for. They might have been peer pressured. If most people see him without a band on, it's gonna look bad. And so they're just moving with the flow of the world, guys, not really understanding fully the distinction of what is pleasing to God and what is pleasing to man, quite frankly. And so this whole message being convoluted, and this is how the end times is going to work. Satan's not going to come and just dangle something disgusting and say, hey, everybody bow down to it. He's going to make it look like it's good. Diversity and inclusion. And then let's just pocket LGBTQ plus stuff in there, right? And it's going to look like it's good and nobody's going to say no to it. But really, Satan was so sly to influence, to have a foothold in a certain movement, especially in sports, where it's neutral. And then you're adding political or just these agendas, these woke agendas in there to be able to get you to move and flow in a certain way. But if a country like Qatar if other countries, for example, say, hey, this is the line, you're going to get a yellow card. And a yellow card, guys, is not the death penalty. You're getting sanctioned for something. But if that's enough to stop a whole country, a whole team to say, okay, we won't do that, we're not going to support that, then how much more can a nation progress when they say, hey, we're going to tear down these modern statues of Baal. We're going to tear down these modern day Asherah poles. We're going to actually uphold righteous laws, and we're going to have sanctions. We're going to have punishment, whatever that is, right? As we as a society would agree to, as a country agree to. Maybe not as extreme as cutting off your arm. I don't know that they do that in Qatar. Whatever the penalty is, right? That a lot of the Arab nations have. If we were to impose those things on there, how much more, even if people are speaking out against it, right? How much more are you able to stop things dead in their tracks? A lot of countries these days, you give an inch, they take a mile. A lot of people, you open doors for freedom for the sake of certain groups like diversity and inclusion, right? And again, nothing wrong with that, but it's skewing the message. And if you give that sort of little bit of room, then a lot of people are going to capitalize on that, and they're going to want to jump on this train. And that's how Satan infiltrates a country, a movement, a bandwagon effect to get you to move in a certain direction. But if you nip it early, if you stop it early, just like with what this was in Qatar, then how much more will you be able to stop ungodly movements and direction and make things, a country, a society, a community, pleasing to God? So I just want to bring that up because I thought it was very interesting. A lot of people are going to demonize it. Again, I'm not here to say, oh, Qatar is righteous and they're awesome. FIFA is righteous and they're awesome. There's a lot of controversy with human labor laws and things like that, even leading up to the building of the stadium and things like that. There are many controversies, guys. But I'm saying that one thing to note is that how easily was it to nip something, to stop something, and to have people say, okay, fine, I'm not going to do this. Fine, I'll take a step back. Because again, if you leave it open for somebody to just kind of entertain it, give an inch, they take a mile, right? So again, all that to say, guys, there's a war going on in the spirit. There's a lot of things that God is aware of that many of us were oblivious to. We're not privy to getting deeper in understanding the heart and the mind and the outlook of God. But we have to be aware of these things and how this movement, this trend is working. And then as we pray for our own family, our own upbringing, again, guys, this could be applicable to your own children as you raise your children. What are you going to allow? What are you not going to allow? So these rules, these standards, these sanctions that you are imposing, it's going to go a long way. And so again, guys, be prayerful, be mindful of this, and just know that this is what is going on in the world. Now, I'm excited, as a side note, for FIFA, just as a little side thing that I follow sometimes here and there. I think that, you got to have fun. You got to have certain things that you want to be able to take a look at. But it's very sad what Satan does to infiltrate certain things and movement. So love you guys. Just want to give you guys this word. Talk to you guys very soon.